Hey, how you doing today? Warp here, and basically this is my son's motorcycle. And again, I already talked about this before. He blew the engine inside of it, and we switched out the engine. All right, so the build has had.
And thank you for viewing this video. If you like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking the icon above, and then of course hitting the bell icon to get notifications when the next video drops. So here we go.
Had a couple of issues, so I want to go into it right now. We're going to start on this side here and everything else of that, because again, we're going to show the issues. All right, first things first is we had to get a new wiring harness. So since we had to get a new wiring harness and everything else of that, we had to, I'll put a link in the description of the wiring harness we bought. So basically I had to merge in the old wiring harness to the new wiring harness. Okay, so right here, you can see these are actually coming out of the new engine right here. So basically these are basically plug and play into the wiring harness for the new wiring harness. So the engine's going into the new wiring harness and everything else of that. So basically the colors are, you can basically see the colors gold are representative of what they are. So they match one-on-one. You can't get this part wrong. It's just pretty much that simple from the new wiring harness. But the issue was, since we're using the new wiring harness, we did not have any tack. So basically I had to cut the cable right here to join it up with the old wiring harness. So basically the the blue and the white goes to the blue and the white. So that basically gave us our tack back. Okay, that's number one. Number two is fuel delivery. Okay, you can see how tall this is. You can see how close the carburetor is to the tank, so we were not able to get proper fuel flow. So again, his first ride, everything was going well, and then all of a sudden stopped. He stopped at the end of the street. Why? Because we were getting, well, no fuel. So I had to purchase a fuel pump. You can see the fuel pump sitting right here. That was the only way that we can get fuel to the carburetor correctly. So that, because again, you can see where this is literally slightly lower than where the carb is, so the fuel would not flow correctly to it. So again, once we got that, now it goes routed down to here. Sorry, it goes from the carburetor down the fuel filter into the pump, and from the pump into the carb. All right. Next thing was getting the wiring harness correct for the gearing. Now, when you buy these Chinese bikes, and you can imagine to your own gearings and everything else like that, it's not going to come out correctly. It's going to be wrong. You're going to be in, it's going to say one gear, you're going to be in another. So what you have to do is, you have to get a small screwdriver, depin all of the pins that's inside of here, meaning that you're going to take them out. You can see it from up front. You can see the little things right there, the little tabs. You basically depin these, so that basically the connector's loose. Then you put it in neutral, and then from there, you're going to put each one of those connections into each one of these until you find all the pins, because they're all separate out into each one of these until you find a color that corresponds to neutral. Then from there, you're going to go to first. Do the same thing. You're going to have one still inside it. Then you're going to have some left to go to each one. You're going to do that for each one of those until you have all the pins assigned correctly to where you are inside of your gears. Could have not, well, you'll be saying that you're in fourth gear when you're actually in first, blah, blah, blah. So basically, it's a display issue. Now, it doesn't have anything to do functionally with the actual bike itself. That's just a issue where, so you'll know what gear it is. Now, if you already know, you don't care. If you're on a dirt bike, you don't really have the gear selection, tell you all that good stuff like that. You're just doing it so you'll know what it is. But we're trying to make it so it's perfect and everything else like that. All right, now the side panel is not on this right now, it's on the side. Other thing is, to get this display to work, let me grab the key, because again, we had to switch keys to get the display to work. Now, if you're here right now, you can actually hear the fuel pump priming. All right, let's try to see if we can get it started. You can see that she's in neutral. The way and oh nope, dumb, I have it switched off. That's the other thing I still haven't fixed yet, is we still have the switch for this. I have to rewire this into this here. Keep forgetting. That's one of the things I still have left to do. So now I'll switch that, and now she should. And there you go. Okay, I'm gonna shut it back down so you can actually hear, and we'll go back to it. All right, the other issue is when you're wiring up. Well, actually, shut the key off. In order to get the dash running and everything else of that, you have to tie into the old system. Well, since we replaced the key, so it can make it easier to go to the other to the new harness. Basically, what you're gonna have to do is you're going to have to wire in to the harness, going into the old keys. You can see it way down there. Hopefully I can get it. Actually, let's turn it this way. You can see it, hopefully, right there. You got to wire your old harness into this. So basically what we did is, because those are the things that actually went to the old key. So all I needed was to turn power and the ground from different key positions to tie into that and tie it into the new harness. So basically when I hit this key here, everything lights up, and then we got her all dash right and everything else. So again, everything is working correctly. Lights, all like this stuff like that is working. So everything is working correctly. Turn signals. Oh, if I can do it right. Turn signals are working correctly. Now people are like, but does it run? Does it actually move? And the answer to that question is yes. We've already ran on the road, but again, I want to get this real quick. Oops, turn that back off, and let's restart her again. Okay. Now we're gonna walk around to the other side. We're gonna hold the clutch, and you can see. But another holdup that we have is, if you look at the wheel, you see how it's oscillated back and forth? Well, he crashed the bike at one time. Let's go into the next gear. So again, it is operating. We have full power. So again, people are asking, oh, does it run? Can he ride it? Yes, actually he can ride it. But we can't, I won't let him ride it completely and everything else, because again, we're having a problem with the wheel. Okay, the problem is, when he crashed the bike and everything else of that, his bearings are trashed. Something is going on with the bearings and everything else of that, so basically so that when he goes from first to second, he's fine. Then when he goes into second gear, it bogs to the point where he's going fast enough and it starts to well, grind, because the bearings are basically trashed. So we don't want to damage the motor, because again, that's probably what happens in the last motor, so that where the back end locked up while it was trying to still be in gear, and basically everything went kaput. So I still got a little bit of work to do and everything else. So again, I got to tie this into this. That'll be the last thing to do. So that, again, you're still starting it from here, but the shutoff is here instead of from here. So it basically, I got 2 wires that I got to connect from this into this, and that would solve the problem. We still have one other issue, is this here. You see how it's too long? You see how it's getting caught right here? Everything else of that? He's already had this situation where this is too long. He bought a new cable for it to try to fix it, but the cable is actually too long. He needs the one that's a little bit shorter. So he's gonna have to find a cable that's just a little bit shorter than this right here. Again, I know you're supposed to tuck it down here, but even when we had it in the tuck spot where it's supposed to be, you still, when it pulls, is going in the wrong part. So we still got a little bit more work to do on it to get it out and everything else. Oh, the other thing we had to do is the brakes. Again, from the crash and everything else, that he busted the glass inside of here. So this is replaceable with this glass. I had to take it off. I replaced the glass and everything else, so that filled it, but the brakes. So he does have front brakes now. You can see how it is. So he does have brakes. So again, you can still see the piece right here from when he crashed it the first time and everything else. So engine itself doing well, running like it's supposed to. Turns the back thing, the tire and everything else. So that in first gear it's fine, in second gear it's still fine. But again, the issue is with pressure on the bike and him on it, because again, he's 180, about 6 feet. He's a little bit under 6 feet. It's about like a partial under 6 feet. So with him added to the weight and everything else, so that back hub, sorry, not the back hub, the back bearings need to be replaced really badly. So once that's replaced and everything else, we'll get you more shots. Now again, I'm going to put a video up of him riding it back up and down the street and everything else. Oh, and one other thing we have to do is, again, we had to tie up the neutral safety switch like this. So I really need to solder this and make this connection permanent, because again, when he changed out the clutch, and again, the clutch doesn't have the wires for the neutral safety switch. So basically what I have to do is I got to actually solder this connection, put it together where it's supposed to be, tuck it back in, so it's gone. Now we've already repainted the bike and everything else to that. So we got the paint job redone. It looks a little dirty right now because again, sitting on the tree and everything else of that, and the bird poop and everything else of that, you can, clearly see the bird poop on top of it and everything else of that. He usually has it covered and everything else of that, but again, when we forget or when he's riding it, we don't put the cover on right away and so that, and then sometimes get dirty like this. So the bike is compressing pretty much along. I'm going to make a separate video on the connections for the bike. They're really, really simple, but it's just like 2 things inside of it that I have to show you guys so y'all know that, oh, so you won't have certain things messed up inside of it. But pretty much this is done. Again, we still have to get, we got one other thing we need to do. The muffler is not tied in completely, so that we got to get there's a gasket that needs to be for the muffler, but that's on order. And we need to do a little bit more wrap because it's getting hot right again, even with the fairing on, so that it's getting still a little bit hot right here. So we're going to take this off and wrap it again. But again, that's the progress that we've made on this so far. So hopefully you guys, and yeah, I know we got to put this in place and everything else. So that's another thing too. But hopefully you guys have an idea that you can put a 250 Chinese 250 inside of these Venoms. Basically you're going to make it the R22 and it will work beautifully. It is going to take a little bit of finagling and get inside it. Again, like I said, you do have to weld the mounts, because again, people ask me about this. I forgot to cover this again, so that people have asked me, say, well, how do you fit it in here? Well, again, there's a mount that's here, but this mount is usually raised, so you literally have to cut this mount off, bang it down, or buy a plate that's flat, flatten it out and everything else like that. But see, if you use the original plate, it's already going to have the holes in it, and the holes will be able to bolt directly on to the engine. So again, that's the one thing. And then the other thing is so that, again, you can see them right here. So someone just asked me about them. I put it in the previous video, but you do have to weld on supports on both sides so the motor will fit. Once you do that, that's really your hard job. Now, the carburetor, we need to get a better one because this carburetor is what came with the bike, and you don't have no jets for it. So his top speed is off, wrong. We got to get jets for the carb and everything. And again, we got to tighten this up so it's not just sticking out like this. We're going to have to see if we can find a connector. I don't want to chop this off to this marry them like this, because again, if you need to do any work or anything else to that, be better. So basically what it's probably going to do is when I have a 3D printer, I'm going to try to 3D print a connection piece for this, or at least a cover for it to cover this up. And then from there, he'll be able to just shoe glue around it, so it'll be a gasket on it, so when he pulls it, he'll be able to pull it in and out. That's the plan. I don't know if that'll be able to come into fruition, because again, it's going to take me a while to get trial and error. But the main thing is so that it's this right here. You have the ability to splice into your old bike harness and make everything that you have work. Again, basically you're connecting it from here to here. This one splice connection, that'll get your tack back. To get your power back to your display and everything else, so that you have to make a connection from the top of this wire right here, connection to there, and one's running back to the battery. Now again, the connection that I have from here going back this way is for the pump, so that way there, the pump only runs when the bike is in the on position. When the bike is off, that pump doesn't run. But again, as soon as I turn the key to the on position, the fuel pump runs, and the fuel pump will not overpower the fuel level, as long as you get the lowest one. And again, I'll put it in the description when I finish this live and everything else, so that way you can look at it. All right, folks. So again, this is a quick one on the bike and everything else, quick one on the progress, so you guys, you know what we're up to. We are gonna bring more videos about this out as soon as I can, everything else. So that again, when it's completely finished, buttoned up, we'll get some rides in. Again, he's gonna put it on his channel with his 360 camera and everything else. So that my job was doing the welding, my job was helping him put inside it. I did the electrical, because again, I know how to do electrical and stuff like that. Again, I bled both sets of brakes to make sure the brakes were back together and everything is the way it's supposed to. So that so one thing we left, but the major thing that's holding this up is the bearing. We have to change the bearings inside it. Once that's done, from there, they'll be on the street and everything else, and then from there we can get some riding. Now you're probably like, well, what is he riding right now? Well, actually he has a 600 that he's riding right now, and he's going. And my daughter's Grom, she's already gonna have to work, because you probably seen this in the picture too. And so that my Grom is right here underneath the bike, but my daughter has a Grom too, and so that, and hers is on. We got to clean the yards for that, because you can see oil and tools everywhere for us doing the modifications. You can see it again, the cords and me snipping everything. And so we still have work to do on this, but once we get that stuff done, we'll clean up the yard again. And that, if you're doing an engine mod, get a stand. This stand saved our lives, because again, it makes it so that you can lift up the engine. Because again, I'm going to show you a new video going to be coming up after this of my daughter's Grom, because we switched out her engine for a 190, and to do that we needed this stand right here. So again, thank you guys for watching. This is Warp 103 saying warp out, have fun, catch you guys on the next one.